to what I want to say as to what should be done. You see, I think that you could get a solution to this problem which would really be quite reasonable from both points of view. May I explain it? NASA has said that he will agree the charges. Well, we're concerned as users with the charges. We're concerned with the development of the canal, we're concerned with its maintenance, we're concerned with free passage, we're concerned with non-discrimination. Those are the things we want. Now, he has said that he will negotiate, in effect, agree the charges. He has also accepted the 1888 Convention. Now, the 1888 Convention, in fact, provides for the agents of the signatory powers to watch over, to supervise the execution of its provisions. Now, I think if you take those two things together, both of which have been accepted by NASA, it ought not to be impossible to reach agreement, something on these lines. Now, of course, I'm not, you can't dot every I and cross every T, but what I have in mind is this: let him have his management board. If he chooses to bring in foreign technicians, well and good. Settle the compensation issue by negotiation or arbitration. Refer, if you like, the legality of the whole thing to the Hague Court. But basically go for a solution under which there's a day-to-day management board, which can be Egyptian, but a supervisory board under the 1888 Convention that's really provided for, with which the Egyptians would negotiate and agree not only the charges which NASA has said he'll do, but the development plans, and I don't see why he shouldn't do that, and the disposal of the net revenues which are really involved in this. Now, that I really do believe very firmly myself that in principle there's no reason why both sides shouldn't be satisfied with a solution of that.
Mr. Gaitskell, are you aware that a plan very like that was put forward, since you've mentioned the Sunday Times, by the Sunday Times before the end of the London conference?
Mr. Hodgson, I welcomed your first leading article in which you said that force was neither right nor necessary. I've welcomed several others. The only one I objected to was the middle one, in which you in fact implied that force after all was to be contemplated, and in which you took the occasion to attack the United Nations, which I think was a mistake.
Mr. Gaitskell, I yield to no man in my admiration for the Sunday Times, but may I ask you this? What you've just been talking about is very practical matters about how to get ships through the canal. What you talked about in your original speech was the political danger of what NASA had done.
Yes.
And that shift of emphasis, has it not confused people?
Well,
did it not perhaps confuse the Prime Minister?
Whether it's confused people or not, I can only say it's not for want of my trying to keep the thing clear. I still say all along, of course, Colonel Nasser is a dangerous person, and I think, and I said after all in my last speech in the September 13th debate, that I thought the most dangerous thing was probably a possible future attack on Israel. But I may say that if that is really what people are worried about, then the right thing is to give the Israelis some arms, which we've been pressing the government to do for a very long time.
Mr. Gaitskell, I'm sure you don't confine your reading on Sundays to one newspaper. And in that hope, may I ask you whether you consider, in view of the need for getting a considerable amount of the uncommitted nations on our side before this matter goes to UN, don't you think we should be looking beyond a narrow solution to the problem and making some kind of gesture which will show the international spirit in which this country is looking at this problem? Couldn't we, for instance, consider internationalizing other waterways of similar importance? Some scheme which would show that we're looking beyond the immediate difficulty to a broader prospect of cooperation.
I certainly don't rule that out at all. And I would like to say I don't wish at all to divide my inquisitors, but I find myself, on the whole, more generally in agreement with the Observer than I am with the Sunday Times.
That's not surprising.
But may I just say, what I do very much agree with, and I would like to say this in all seriousness, the thing that has worried us, I think, particularly about this whole business and the threats of force that are being used, is not only that a war itself would, in our view, be quite disastrous, not only that it would settle nothing in the Middle East at all, but that it would have a catastrophic effect on the relations between the East and the West. And may I just say this? I believe that in this present phase of international politics, it is in the uncommitted, underdeveloped areas, that the struggle between communism and democracy is being fought out.
What do you think of the role India's played in this?
Well, I would like to have seen India play more of the role of a mediator from the start, and I still hope they will do that. I think they were partly put off from doing that by the saber rattling, which led them to think we were going to use force.
Going back to the uncommitted nations and the need for development and so on, could I go back to the beginning? I mean, this whole thing started, in fact, with the turn down of the Assam Dam project in the help. Now then, do you feel there is a strong case, even now, for giving Egypt assistance on such a project?
I would certainly be prepared to recommend assistance for Egypt if you got a proper settlement. But I'm inclined to think I would ask for a settlement of the Israeli-Arab problem as well.
But otherwise you would do it even if Nasser was still there, as he probably would be.
If you really could get a genuine settlement of this and of the Arab-Israeli problem, of course it would be not only worthwhile, but when all is said and done, I think most of us, irrespective of party, want to see these people's standard of living rise, and we're prepared to help them, so long as it doesn't result in aggression.
Why is your own view of why the Assam Dam proposal was turned down in that very startling and sudden way?
Well, I don't know that anybody really knows the answer to that one. I entirely agree with you. I think that is one of the weaknesses of our position here, that it was started by that sudden turn down. I think it was a bit mixed up, quite frankly, with internal American politics.
And Mr. Gaitskell, though you appreciate that the Egyptians have put it down in a white paper of their own, that the nationalization, the seizure of the Suez Canal, was bound to come. It was only waiting the suitable opportunity.
Yes.
Mr. Gaitskell, you talked about internal American politics. This is a question that has to do with British internal politics. The job of Prime Minister seems to be rather a taxing, even an agonizing one. Why do you want it?
I don't think that's really quite the way I would put it, you know. You get elected leader of a party, and you want to do your job as best you can.
You don't get elected leader of the party not to become Prime Minister.
No, indeed. I'm always in an embarrassing position now when people say, I hope you'll be Prime Minister. I can't reply modestly. Well, of course, I don't mind. Naturally, from the point of view of the party, I do. But frankly, you asked me a very personal question, and one doesn't sort of plan these things, you know. I mean, I became a socialist well, a very long time ago, when I was about 19 or 20. I didn't originally intend to go into active politics. I found myself drawn in because I was interested in economics, I suppose. Then I became a parliamentary candidate after making a lot of speeches, first of all, and so on and so on, and there you are.
When did you first conceive the ambition, allow it to form in your mind that you might be Prime Minister?
Oh, well, I don't know that I had an ambition to be Prime Minister at all. Not in that sort of direct sense at all. I always remember this saying, which a friend of mine put to me: never ask for a job and never refuse one. It's not a bad idea. I've tried to observe that.
It's surely not an unworthy ambition anyway on the part of any politician.
No, but Mr. Williams, I just wanted to say that I think I can honestly say for myself, these are sort of embarrassing personal questions, that I really haven't looked at it that way.
No.
You and I have known each other a very long